parasites. So the infective stages of the parasites are very important for you to familiarize and memorize. Diba? So I have tabulated the list of infective stages. So we will fill in kung ano yung mga parasites with those infective stages. So para when you browse through your notes, you can immediately see what are the infective stages of the parasites. So let's start. So for the cyst, protozoans, which are the amoeba, are amoebae. So cysts, protozoans are amoebae. For example, Entamoeba histolytica. So mga amoeba, their infective stages, and other protozoans, their infective stages are the cysts. Okay? For trophozoid, Trichomonas vaginalis. Kasi diba, Trichomonas vaginalis doesn't have a cyst stage. So, its infective stage is the trophozoid. Next, sporozoids. So sporozoids are the infective stages of the Plasmodium species. So the malarial parasites, they inject sporozoids to the humans for us to be infected with malaria. Okay? So sporozoids ang kanilang infective stage. Next is trypomastigote. So when you can see trypomastigote as the infective stage, trypanosoma species. Okay? Trypomastigote, trypanosoma species. On the other hand, promastigote, Leishmania species. Okay? Leishmania species, promastigote. Next, embryonated egg. So pag embryonated egg ang infective stage, you can have the mnemonic HATE. Okay? Mnemonic is HATE. So H for Hymenopus mina. A for Ascaris lumbricoides. T for Trichuris trichura. E for Enterobius vermicularis. Okay? So, Hymenopus mina, Ascaris lumbricoides, Trichuris trichura, and Enterobius vermicularis. So next is the third stage larva. So third stage larva, Buchereria bancrofti, Brugia malayi, Angiostrongylus cantonensis, Loa, Angiocerca volvulus, and Mansonella. Okay? So, yung Buchereria, Brugia, Loa, and Angiocerca volvulus, they are the filariae, diba? So their infective stage is third stage larva. The next is filariform larva. So for filariform larva, there are two parasites. So hookworm and Strongyloides stercoralis. Diba? Hookworm and Strongyloides stercoralis, they have their rhabditiform and filariform larva. So later, we will be able to differentiate what are the characteristics of the rhabditiform and filariform larvae of hookworm and Strongyloides stercoralis. So if you will be asked, what is the infective stage of Necator americanus? So Necator americanus is a hookworm, diba? So when you are asked what is its infective stage, you can say filariform larva. So next is Cercaria. So first Cercaria, schistosoma species. So they are the only flukes or trematodes that is, ang infective stage nila is Cercaria. Kasi the other flukes or trematodes, their infective stage is metacercaria. So Fasciola hepatica, Fasciolopsis busci, Clonorchis sinensis, Opistorchis felinius, Paragonimus westermani, Echinostoma ilocanum, and Heterophytes. So they are flukes, diba? Trematodes. Their infective stage is the metacercaria. So next, Cysticercus cellulose. So different siya sa Cysticercus bovis. So Cysticercus cellulose is Tinea solium. So Tinea solium's infective stage is Cysticercus cellulose. While Tinea saginata, Cysticercus bovis. Kasi di ba bovine, bovis, beef. So Tinea saginata. Okay? Next, Plerocercoid larva. Plerocercoid. Siya lang ang cestode na Plerocercoid larva ang infective stage. And it is Diphyllobothrium latum. Okay? Plerocercoid larva, Diphyllobothrium latum. Next, hydatid cyst, Echinococcus granulosus. Diba siya ang hydatid cyst tapeworm. Next is Cysticercoid larva, which is different from Cysticercus cellulose and bovis. So Cysticercoid larva is Hymenoleucus diminuta and Dipylidium caninum. Okay? So you have to familiarize and memorize the infective stages of these parasites. Okay? So claro? Okay. Let us move on to the next topic, which is actually the first topic in this review. So it is the basic principles or the introduction to parasitology. So first, it is the area of biology concerned with the phenomenon of dependence of one living organism on another. Diba? Very easy. It is parasitology. Next, concerned primarily with parasites that affects humans and their medical significance, as well as their importance in human communities. So more on human medical parasitology. Okay? So next, biological relationships. Ito, very basic. So since high school, you have learned this. But let us nonetheless review these topics or concepts because these are very important. Okay? So, living together of unlike organisms may involve protection or other advantages to one or both organisms. So, symbiosis. Pag living together of unlike organisms. Next, two species living together and one species benefits without harming or benefiting the other. Commensalism. Okay? Example, Entamoeba coli in the intestinal lumen. Diba? Entamoeba coli is non-pathogenic parasite, diba? So it does not harm us, but it also gets its nutrients from our intestine. Okay? So commensalism. Next, two organisms mutually benefit from each other. Mutualism. Okay? Next, one organism, the parasite, lives in or on another depending on the host for its survival. So, parasitism. So, the host is somewhat injured or burdened by the parasite, di ba? Okay, next. Next is a classification of parasites according to habitat. So what do you call a parasite living in the body of the host, inside the body? So endoparasite. Endoparasite. Okay? Then its presence is called infection. So pag endoparasite, infection. Meanwhile, parasite living outside the body of the host is also called as ectoparasite. And its presence is called infestation. So pag living outside, ectoparasite, pag presence is called infestation. So different ang infection and infestation. Okay? Next. This is found in an organ which is not usually its habitat. It's called as erratic parasite. Diba? So not usually its habitat. For example, Ascaris lumbricoides, its habitat is the small intestine, but it can also cause infections to the heart and the lungs. So it is also called an erratic parasite. Okay, gets? Next. According to the mode of development, so it needs a host at some stage of their life cycle to complete their development. Obligate or obligative parasite. Okay? Obligate or obligative parasite. So it needs kahit isa lang talaga na host ang kailangan nila, but they really need one or more hosts for them to complete their life cycle. That's why they are called obligate parasites. Next, may exist in a free living state or may become parasitic when the need arises. Facultative parasite. So, di ba, pwede siya free living. So, facultative, pwede free living or pwede parasitic. So, makakasurvive siya kahit wala siyang host. Next, establishes itself to a host where it does not ordinarily live. So, accidental or incidental parasite. Okay? So guys, medyo boring pa to na part, but you must really learn these basic principles or these basic topics before we go on to the proper ng parasites. Okay? Next, remains in or on the body of the host for its entire life. So entire life, whole life niya, permanent parasite. Next, lives on the host for only a short period of time. Temporary parasite. Okay? Next, free living organism that passes through the digestive tract without infecting the host. So passes through the digestive tract without infecting the host. Spurious parasite or coprozoic. Spurious parasite or coprozoic. Okay? So hindi siya naga-infect, but it passes through our digestive tract. So next is according to its host. So this is the host where the parasite attains sexual maturity. This is the definitive or final host. Kasi doon siya mag-a-attain ng maturity niya. Next, it harbors the asexual or larval stage of the parasite. So, intermediate host. Okay? Next, one in which the parasite does not develop to later stages but remains alive and is able to infect another host. So, doon lang siya. Hindi siya hindi siya mag-evolve to other stages, but it will stay alive in that parasite, in that host. So it is called as paratenic host. Next, this allows the parasite's life cycle to continue and become additional sources of human infection. It allows the life cycle to continue. Paratenic, it does not develop to further later stages, diba? So ito is reservoir. So reservoir hosts allow the parasite's life cycle to continue. Okay? Next, it is a host in which the parasite is not usually found. So, accidental host. So, example, Trichinella spiralis. The pork or the pigs are the natural hosts of the Trichinella spiralis, but it can also infect our muscle fibers or muscle tissue, in which we are called the accidental host. Okay? So next, vectors. Transmits the parasite only after the parasite has completed its development within the host. It is called as biological vector, but only transports the parasite mechanical or phoretic. Mechanical or phoretic vectors. Okay? So next, process of inoculating an infective agent is exposure. So when you inoculate an infective agent, it is called as exposure. Establishment of an infective agent in the host, called as infection. So pag establishment na, infection na siya. Next, period between the infection and the evidence of symptoms. Clinical incubation. Okay? Pag symptoms, clinical incubation. Ito, period between the infection and evidence or demonstration of infection. Biological incubation. Next, this refers to when an infected individual becomes his own direct source of infection. It is also called as auto-infection. Auto, self, diba? So you become your own source of infection. For example, Enterobius vermicularis. So it goes to your perianal region, and then kakatihin mo yung perianal region mo, kakamutin mo, and then you will put your hand on your mouth, diba? So you will ingest the eggs again. So it is also called as auto-infection. So next is the mode of transmission. Most are the modes of transmission. So, for example, Pinia solium, Pinia saginata, Diphyllobothrium latum. What are their modes of transmission? Ingestion or fecal oral. Diba? When you eat fish, raw pork, beef. So ingestion. Next, Strongyloides stercoralis and schistosoma. Skin penetration. Next, malarial parasites, filarial parasites, Leishmania and Trypanosoma babesia. Vector-borne infections. Okay? Next, Toxoplasma gondii. Congenital infection. So, it can be passed through the placenta. Next, what are the parasites that can be transmitted through a mother's milk? Ancylostoma and strongyloides. Okay? Next, enterobius. Kanina, di ba? Inhaled worm. Inhalation. Next, Trichomonas vaginalis. Trichomonas vaginalis, sexual contact. Diba? Kasi sa vagina man siya nakikita. So it will cause infection, or it can be transmitted through sexual contact. Okay, so we are done with the introduction to parasitology. So now we will have a small Q&A portion, so 5 questions lang, and I hope that you will answer it before I reveal the answer, so that you can see if you have learned pa talaga sa mga previous parts. Okay? So number 1, 2 species live together and one species benefits from the relationship without harming or benefiting the other. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commensalism. Diba? Without harming or benefiting the other. Mutualism, both of them benefits from each other. Parasitism, the other one is harmed or injured. Diba? Okay, so did you get it? Commensalism. Next, one organism, the parasite, lives in or on another depending on its host for survival. So nasa question na siya. So, parasitism. Answer is parasitism. Okay? Next, what is the mode of transmission of Strongyloides stercoralis? A. Ingestion. B. Skin penetration. C. Congenital. D. Sexual contact. Answer is skin penetration. Diba? Letter B. So what are examples of congenital transmission? Toxoplasma. Diba? Toxoplasma gondii. Sexual contact. Trichomonas vaginalis, di ba? Ingestion, there are a lot of parasites that can be transmitted through ingestion. Okay? So number 4, this is a vector that only transports the parasite. A. Biological. B. Phoretic. Answer is B. Phoretic. What is the other name for phoretic? Diba? Mechanical. And it only transports the parasite. So that it is its only gamit niya, use niya to transport the parasite. It does not it is not needed by the parasite for its development. So transport na talaga siya. Okay, next. Number 5. This is a free-living organism that passes through the digestive tract without infecting the host. So, A. Spurious. B. Permanent. C. Obligate. D. Incidental. Answer is letter A. Spurious. Kasi permanent, diba? Whole life nasa loob ng host. Obligate, it really needs a host for its development. And incidental, hindi siya doon talaga naturally nag-i-infect. Okay? So I hope you got 5 out of 5 on this part of the Q&A. So we will be having a lot more Q&A when we go on to the other topics. Okay? So